about the suffering, so therefore we are suffering more by doing any sorts of things. Even sometime we may be doing something very good. For example, practicing generosity, or practicing the preliminary practice, and practicing mantras and tantras and yogas and all these things, which are supposed to be a very good practices, a very good thing for getting rid of sufferings. But it may cause a suffering. It may create a suffering by doing these things, which is most likely not. I mean, hopefully it won't do that, but it's possible. It's possible. The Buddha Shakyamuni himself said that dharma should be done. Dharma means his teaching or whatever. The dharma should be practiced carefully. Otherwise, dharma will create a drama. That means the dharma will create a problem. That dharma may create a problem. This is what Buddha Shakyamuni said also. So it's kind of understandable for us also that, if we don't really get rid of the ignorant, and without getting rid of ignorant, we do whatever we do. I mean, the mundane things, of course, but the spiritual things, religious things, also get into a trouble. I mean, there is a tendency to get a lot to create a lot of problems out of the religious things. It's happening here also in this world. A lot of religion creates a lot of problems in this world. We can see it. I mean, yeah, right. So, what is this? There's no air in this, or whatever. No air. It's a little stuffy, isn't it? That's a suffering. Okay. 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 So that's the. Yeah, so it can. So ignorant is the one that we have to understand. That is the suffering. Ignorant itself is the suffering. Suffering has the different levels. The different levels of sufferings we have. So of course we are suffering here a little bit because of heat and being stuffy. That's kind of suffering is just a gross suffering. It is a kind of a suffering that it's a kind of, let's say, easy to get rid of, actually. But then there's a suffering that it's a little subtle than that, and the really real subtle suffering is the ignorant, that we don't know. It's a very subtle, too subtle. So therefore we don't know what's wrong with us. We sometimes feel that we are quite okay, but we are not okay. And we create a lot of things unknowingly. We create a lot of bad, if you like, karma. You can use karma, but you can use any kind of terminology, but we can create a lot of mess in our society without knowing anything, or maybe the intention was good maybe, but then it turns out to be a very bad. It's because it's ignorant. It's created from the ignorant. So the ignorant that is creating that sort of things itself is a subtle and primitive. What do you call that? Subtle sufferings. So this is the thing that we have to get rid of. So actually, what really we have to understand in this field is that how do you say, not knowing your suffering itself is a suffering, or not wanting, not wanting to know, that to know or to come across your real suffering is itself a suffering. So this is what Buddha Shakyamuni want us to know to start with. And then after understanding that, then you will understand that what to get rid of in order to get rid of this suffering. So of course the suffering, the gross suffering and subtle suffering and really basic suffering, all these three categories of sufferings will be able to diminished, will be able to sort of, how do you say, diminished, okay, through actual practices of whatever you may call it, like meditation, the contemplations and meditation. But of course, you have to understand, first of all, you have to understand what to meditate on and what not to do, what to do. You have to have a discriminating kind of wisdom in order to do so. So in order to have that discriminating wisdom, you need to have some knowledge built within yourself, and which is, of course, the knowledge of knowing the source, the cause of the suffering, which is the ignorant. The ignorant is something that we have to understand. What is really the ignorant, and what is really the effect of ignorant, and how does it work? This is something we should understand. And whereas right now we don't understand about the ignorant, and therefore we have lots of pride. All the different religion has a different kind of pride. All the different people has a different kind of pride, and even the let's say the practitioners also has a different prides. And so therefore the Buddha Shakyamuni said, the first of the most important emotions, if you want, to avoid, or the sort of very crucial kind of emotion that you have to avoid is the pride. And so the pride, because the pride is coming from the ignorant, Sometimes, even if you suffer, the suffering also is a cause of sometimes it causes the pride. So you always have a pride and say that, identify yourself and say, I am. And that is also a form of a pride. You don't have to say I am the best, but you just say I am, or I is also a form of a pride, It's maybe a subtle pride, but it's a pride. So this is the thing that we have to get rid of to start with, and just the basic, for example, basic notion of being there, the I being there, causes a lot of mess in your life. Then the I become I am, and then it become mine. And it become yours, and it creates yours and you. And then there's a kind of a dual kind of, let's say, dual understanding or dualistic kind of concept. And that concept creates the anger and the desire and many unwanted emotions. And all the unwanted emotions, of course, these emotions are again there. Without knowing, without sort of like realizing it. So therefore you always get trapped by these emotions. Some of them are very good, some of them are very nice emotions, some of them are very pleasant emotions, pleasurable emotion, I would say. And some of them are very bad, very negative. But negative and the good positive emotions, all the emotions are equally equally a trap for you. Because you are trapped by that. And sometimes you feel great to have some kind of emotions. For example, some people, they say that, that if you don't have emotion, then you become vegetable. And it's true also in a way. But in another way, it doesn't really have to be emotion. It can be wisdom. For example, like emotion, to me, to my knowledge, emotion means that the emotion